I filmed a wedding and a random coyote was just walking through the back fence of the property. I was like, oh my God. Like, that's when I knew. I was like, oh, we live in Arizona now. Like, we on the West Coast now. That's when I knew.
Hey you guys, and welcome back. So my name is Jasmine.
My name is Matthew Cone from Cone's Graphics.
And we are the 1% Better Everyday Podcast. So I wanted to start off the podcast really quick by saying that nothing has really changed. I just want to kind of explain the branding. I did change the branding so that way it's like a more neutral tone for both men and women. Going forward, 1% Podcast is still going to remain the same. Our main purpose is just to talk about how you get 1% better every single day, either spiritually, mentally, through business, through personal, and whatever way that is for you. So I did want to go ahead and just start off really quick with some questions about us, about who we are. So my name is Jasmine. I am a Mexican American, and I am currently 25 years old. Okay, and then your turn.
Before we do that, first of all, shout out to Lucky Donuts and
you
Boba.
always go off the outline. You gotta follow the outline.
We gotta do this while we eating because I'm hungry. First of all, shout out to Lucky Donuts. We got some donuts today. We're gonna be eating and talking at the exact same time. But again, this is 1% Better Podcast. And I also got a mango shake from them. So we're going to be revealing the donuts as we are telling y'all this information.
Okay. And can you tell them a little bit about you? Who are you? What's your name? How old are you?
My name is Matthew Cone. I'm going to be 32 this year. Yeah, I'm going to be 32 this year.
So again, the purpose of the podcast is just to talk about how we get 1% better every single day. So he already said it, but we got donuts. So I did get some behind the scenes for you guys, but we got donuts and we're going to be eating some donuts while we just talk about like some life changes and things. So we're going to kind of go ahead and start with, it's been 1 year since we moved to Phoenix.
Absolutely.
So
Shout out to our 1 year anniversary.
So this is where we got donuts from really quick. We already showed it, but it's Lucky Donuts.
Located in Phoenix, Arizona. No, Jazz, it doesn't focus on that. The focus is on our face.
No, okay.
Yeah, so you got to scoot it closer to your face. There you go. Again, I got a mango smoothie, one of the best smoothies I've ever had. And now for our donut reveal. Dun, dun, dun.
So I got the chocolate chip donut. Oh my God, it fell apart. I got the chocolate chip donut.
My favorite, fan favorite. Got the red velvet.
And then this is cinnamon crumble crunch. I was going to get another one with like cookies on top, but then I saw this one and I asked him what it was, and this looks delicious.
And finally, it's my first time trying it. Got the blueberry cake today. Sound like some weed, don't it? Some blueberry cake. That sounds like something we smoked before.
Like a strand. Okay.
Again, mango smoothie. Shout out to Lucky Donuts, located in Phoenix, Arizona.
What do you feel like you've learned in 1 year since we moved to Arizona?
The summer was hot, very hot. I've seen temperatures, seeing above 110 is crazy. Like on a daily basis is over 110. And at night, it don't really get that much cooler until it's like in the dead of the night, like 1, 2, 3, 4. That's when it gets back into the 90s. What else have I learned? I'm gonna try this blueberry.
Yeah, when they said it gets hot in Phoenix, they were not lying.
They were not lying.
2 days ago it was like 115 degrees. Like, it was so hot outside. I sent a picture to my family because we have a group chat. And my sister was like, oh my God. Like, it's crazy.
The city is bigger and busier. So because of that, you have to make sure you take extra time to get wherever you need to go. You're always supposed to make sure you take extra time for travel. But you got to like double that for travel. Anytime you go anywhere, because it'd be a lot of, I see a lot of car accidents. That's one thing I learned. This blueberry is delicious, by the way.
The chocolate is so good. I usually don't like chocolate filled donuts, but this one is really good. Let me just show it to you guys. I think this just turned into like a whole mug thing. But look, it has like chocolate filling and it is so good. Another thing that I learned is it really takes you 20 to 30 minutes just to get anywhere. Just because like I was telling him, like I think I went to Walmart just to get earrings and I'm like, damn, it took me an hour just to drive there and back. Again, it's just something you kind of gotta get used to in Phoenix. And the amount of car accidents that we see is ridiculous. Like, we thought there was car accidents in Cincinnati. Like, Phoenix is on a whole nother thing. And it's just because like it's such like a fast moving pace that everybody pace city that everybody, you know, has to go somewhere, and I get it. The accidents are crazy.
Yeah.
And same with the homelessness. Like,
Oh,
the
wow,
homelessness
yeah.
is just crazy. Like, we've seen so many things we've seen in Phoenix that I would have never seen in Cincinnati. And at the same time, like, we were having this conversation where, like, it is sad, but like, at what point do you keep helping them, because it's kind of like enabling them? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I know that's like a bigger conversation, but
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing I've learned is we so used to being in Ohio, we seeing grasshoppers because they so green and bright, and over here it's just the crickets are like they blend in with the sand, especially around in the summertime. It's just a bunch of sand colored crickets everywhere. It's especially depending on what area of Phoenix that you're in, so you see the difference in between the animals, the insects.
I think the sand crickets was like the biggest, like that was like the biggest, like I guess, like difference for me, because I saw something on the ground moving, and I was like, what is that? And I thought it was like a piece of wood, but it was like camouflage with the dust, which is, it's just like kind of like interesting and cool how nature is so different in like other places in the world. My coworker was just telling me in Arizona there's a lot of like tsunamis, which I think you said you saw your first one too.
So I was working on a project and a random dust storm just came up out of nowhere. I don't know how that happened, but that was cool seeing. I mean, it could have got a little dangerous, but you know what I miss about Ohio?
What?
Waking up in the morning and seeing deers. I used to always see deers in Ohio, like no matter where I stayed, especially the last couple of years since being in Sharonville.
Yeah,
there was deers every morning. That's one thing I do miss about Ohio is seeing the deers in the early morning. The red velvet is amazing, by the way. Shout out to Lucky Donuts.
Oh yeah, and then where was it? We were at a wedding and we saw, what was it? A bobcat?
Yep.
Was it a bobcat?
Yep.
It was crazy. I think I have
hunting that rabbit.
I think I have the videos or photos. If I do, I'll include it here somewhere. But it was crazy. It was so big, and it was just like 5 feet away from us, and like all the people at the wedding, at the guests, were just like literally surrounding it, and some people weren't even walking up to it. I was like, why would you walk up to it? But another thing that I learned, I guess for me, just ever since we moved to Arizona, which was something that I kind of already knew in Cincinnati, but I think just being in Arizona, it's like a whole nother level of learning it, is that mindset really is everything. I updated like my audience and like my family on my YouTube channel, which I haven't really updated you guys here, but I took like this course or like program, not to like talk about business too much, but it just kind of like changed the way I just viewed things and how everything really is mindset. Like whatever you do, whether it be through the gym, whether it be through your business, whether it be like spiritually, like consistency will really take you the longest in anything. And I know that's something that you even wanted to talk about too, was consistency. But I think for me, like even with like being back on YouTube, just being consistent is like, if you can do much more, or if you feel like you can't do nothing else, like consistency will always just help you like learn and grow, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a great theme for 1%, as a matter of fact, just being consistent. And just being consistent allows you to see different things, allows you to experience different things as well. And a lot of people don't want to do that. A lot of people are content in what they are doing and what they like to do, which is okay. We don't mind. But back to what I've learned since we've been here. You see a big difference in wealth class versus being out in Ohio. You see a big difference in wealth class, especially if you pay attention to that, or are wanting to engage yourself in different wealth classes, or just wanting to see what's going on in different neighborhoods. You see it, you pay attention to it. It's like either going to inspire you or you're gonna hate it.
Mm-hmm. And I think that kind of just goes back to like, again, not to touch too much on it, but just goes back to the homelessness, how like it's like a trickle down effect. Like it's like the richer get richer, but then the poor get poorer. And then like, I know at the end of the day it's like a mindset thing, but then like at the end of the day you kind of like have to help yourself, because you can be making more money, and like, you know, we even talked about how like, you know, we in the future want to do something to like kind of help like the homeless people. But then again, like if we do too much, does that enable them more, or do some people kind of learn through mindset? You know, like in any neighborhood we go to in Phoenix, like it doesn't matter, like the homelessness is always there. Like I said, I feel like it's just like a trickle down effect. Like how do we educate more communities, because at the same time, like a lot of it is just lack of education. Mm-hmm. It definitely is like a big thing that you see in Phoenix. A lot.
First of all, what flavor is this?
Cinnamon crunch.
All right, I'm trying cinnamon crunch for the first time. What do you see the big difference between East Coast and West Coast?
A big difference is that living in the West Coast, I definitely got to be mindful more as like in the business emails. Like I definitely had to be mindful more of when I send emails or send them earlier in the day, because I didn't realize how much like time zone really does affect your day. Like even by 3 hours, because I think if you send an email here in Arizona at 2 p.m., that's 5 p.m. in East Coast. And by the time you send that email, they have already left the office. It's like something as small as that is like just like the time zone is like a big difference.
Yeah.
I guess like spiritually, just one thing that I've noticed with a lot of people is that people over here, like I know we say there's more accidents, but people over here are more calm. Yeah, there's more stuff that you're going to be susceptible to and like you're going to be able to see. People are more calm. There's just not much drama, I guess. Like, I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, I can see a thing of people being more happy over here, or less likely to fire off on somebody, which is, I hope is due to the amazing weather we got over here. I don't know, but you can definitely feel a difference being in the city as well, because we really like stay. When we say we stay in Phoenix, we live literally in the middle of Phoenix. Like it takes us
5 minutes away from like downtown.
5 minutes, so we really live in the city. I love it because I get to see and interact with more Spanish-speaking people, which allows me to be able to speak Spanish more often. And just having a general conversation with somebody that would prefer to speak Spanish over English, that helps me with me learning, wanting to learn and be fluent in Spanish. So.
Yeah, we didn't even really touch on that. Like, I'm surprised I didn't even touch on that. But that's like a huge difference that we've noticed and I've noticed since we moved to Phoenix is that there's definitely like a lot of Hispanic culture around Phoenix. I don't want to pinpoint like a certain country, but there definitely is like a lot of Mexican influence in Phoenix. I really like that, and it's like really cool. Sometimes just living in Phoenix is because like living in Ohio, there was some diversity, but not as it is here in Phoenix in terms of like the Hispanic community or population, you would say.
Speaking on that, since we went to did we even talk about going to the Mexico game?
No, we didn't. Yeah. He bought us tickets to go watch Mexico play, but again, it's just like so cool to be able to see how many different kinds of Mexican people there are. Just because I feel like when I was growing up, obviously like there was Hispanic people in my family, and like that's the only time where I really saw Hispanic people was like in like family gatherings or stuff like that. But I went to like an all white school, so that does make an impact, you know. But yeah, well, how did you enjoy your first Mexico game?
I've always had the privilege of growing up with Hispanic and Spanish-speaking people all my life. And then even being close to working with at least 10 to 15 Spanish-speaking men in my adult life. So the Spanish-speaking culture has always been in my life. It was cool to see that experience because we've been to Chicago and we've seen Little Mexico. Like, we've been down to Miami and seeing the Cubans down there. So to me, it was just more of a pride thing, seeing that. I was just so happy to see that because it was just nothing but a whole building. Like, it was more. And we're going to put a clip somewhere from because I know one of us got a clip for the video, but there was more Mexico jerseys than USA jerseys. And that just felt so good seeing that. Like, that was amazing.
Yeah, that was really cool. That was like that was my first soccer game. And that was the first game that I had ever been to where Mexico was playing. And it was just really cool to like be able to experience it like in person, because like growing up, like, you know, like soccer is like a huge thing for like the Latino community. So my dad was a huge Pumas fan and we always watched soccer, so it was just like so cool to like it was like a 360 to be able to see it in person. But yeah, it's just really cool to see like the different kinds of Hispanic people. One thing that I do want to touch on really quick, which I know some people are gonna come for me, it's been like a little bit
Why you sigh?
Because it's been like a little bit disappointing, and we've even had this conversation, which I know that historically there's like other things that help this. But anyways, there's a lot of people that I've met in Phoenix, or a lot of Hispanic people that don't speak Spanish because their parents didn't teach them. So it is like a little bit disappointing in that perspective. One thing that I love being in Phoenix is I love being able to hear different people's stories, because everybody has like a different story and how they were raised, how they grew up, their background, where their parents came. So I guess like again, it just kind of goes back to like I've learned a lot just by being around different types of people.
Yeah, absolutely. There's also the big businesses that I see out here, because again, the name of the podcast is 1% better, and we always trying to get 1% better every day. Is the big businesses out here do not advertise to the Spanish market, and I just don't understand it when the Spanish market controls so much economic value and status down in Phoenix. It makes no sense. We're so close to Mexico. The companies are just not taking advantage by putting out or creating Spanish market. And I need to do better with that as well as a business owner, having Spanish translations on my website or shooting in this commercial in Spanish. Like, I need to do better with that as well. So
and I love, and that's why this podcast was created, because like I said, this is not to like shit on anybody else, but this is just kind of like to talk about the real stuff in life and just how we can get 1% better every single day, because obviously we're not perfect and I'm not perfect, and that's something that I definitely have to do as well, where I definitely talk Spanish like on my channel or every now and then, but I know I definitely don't include it as much. So there's a lot of things that we definitely want to do for the Hispanic community and just helping in general. It's just been really interesting just to be like around a different just culture and environment. And that's also like another thing that kind of goes back with consistency, is just being consistent in your growth. Because I think like moving to Phoenix, like we had so many reasons to move to Phoenix, but I don't think we realize how, or a lot of people don't realize how sometimes getting out of your comfort zone is a good thing, because you just learn so much from life. Like, not necessarily to reach your goals or whatever it is, but you just learn so much just by getting uncomfortable. So
just by trying something different.
Yeah.
And not everybody wants to explore that. We went to some networking events when we first started, and now that we're towards our year mark, realizing that networking is still important, we just do networking different down here because we understand what's going to connect to us. Yeah. So with that being said, again, the podcast is called 1% Better. I want to work on, again, not only creating marketing for the Spanish speaking folks that's down here, but also I want to get involved more with the community, the stuff that I can do and stuff that I can help with. Just being here and being able to see it, you understand it more differently, especially if that's something that you're passionate about.
I feel like we touched on a lot. There was a lot of stuff we also didn't cover or also didn't touch. I went through my first dispute, which is something that I share on my YouTube channel, and we just learned so much through trial and error. Like, I feel like we've just learned so much by actually doing, which is a whole other conversation. Maybe that will be like the next episode, is action, because actions speak louder than words. We just went to like a lot of networking events, and like one thing that I feel like I really learned this year, just to know where to put your energy into. Like, you shouldn't be everywhere at once, and it's an okay thing to say no, because a lot of people talk, but they don't do anything. They just talk. And so that's what we're trying to do, is just actually get 1% better every single day. We're working really hard to just make sure our YouTube channels are on point, just because I feel like that's a whole other conversation, is that you're always going to pivot, but you just got to make sure that you're always getting better. Because I feel like a lot of people pivot too, and then they just stop. We're just pivoting, getting better, and getting better 1% every single day.
And continuing to put out content, 'cause you can't stop once you start. That's where people fall off, is by stopping completely. Like, no excuse, you just stop. Shout out to one of my favorite podcasts. They go around and they smoke and go test out these restaurants. And I noticed that there was a change in their filming team. Instead of them stopping, they just film that shit on their phone. That's a prime example of like staying consistent and never stopping, always being adaptable to your circumstances. You just gotta keep going, being 1% better every day.
So I want to end it off by like doing like a little different segment at the end, but we got a little less than 3 minutes. Say, a little bit about how are you going to improve 1% better every day? What's one thing that you're going to improve?
When you feel tired or you don't feel you have the energy to do it, push through it anyway.
For me, I'm going to get 1% better every single day just by being more disciplined about my word, because I know that one thing I struggle with is tardiness, is being late, and that's something I'm working on. But I think for me, one way I can get 1% better every single day is just by being prepared. That's something that I had to learn this year too. But just being more prepared when you show up, and then that will fix the problem of me being tardy because I'm not being prepared enough. But that was our podcast. Let us know if you guys enjoy this different kind of episode. Like I said, we don't want to make it super businessy every single time, and we kind of just want to go, wherever the conversation takes us, where we just get 1% better every single day.
Peace.
Bye.
Shout out to Lucky Donuts.